Hello and welcome YouTube to another video. Today I want to talk about what I learned so far from having round about 100 coaching sessions. I think I'm currently at around 105, 106, something along those lines. And I did them with Qiyana mains only, alright? I had some Katarina players as well, but mainly Qiyana. And there are some learnings that I want to talk about, and I think these learnings can definitely help you to level up your ranked climb generally speaking. So let's actually get started and talk about what I learned, okay? The first thing that comes to my mind is something people refer to as stage 4 issues, okay? And this is something that is happening really frequently, okay? I learned this in the MLA actually, like this label, stage 4 issues, but I knew what it was before that, obviously, because many people are struggling with it, okay? And the first thing I want to talk about is this because it actually holds people back the most, in my opinion, okay? So, what are those stage 4 issues, generally speaking, right? Those stage 4 issues are things that are basically out of the game, meaning your champ pool, for example, right? So, which champions do you play? Is it a champ pool that is narrowed down to only a few champions, which would make it easier to climb, right? Or do you just play too many champions all over the place, right? So, that's the first thing. Then we have problems in your real life. I don't want to mention anything specific here, but you guys obviously know what I mean. Could be school or whatever, right? Or something in the family. And as long as you don't have that fixed, it's actually really hard to focus on League of Legends as a whole, right? Another thing for me personally is seriousness, okay? So, League is a really hard game. League is definitely not a game that's easy to play. And people underestimate it. And using League as a tool to actually improve yourself as a person as well has helped me a lot, right? The problem is that people don't accept League as a hard game. What does that mean? That basically means that they play League either casually or like only with friends, which is basically the same, but I think you know where I'm coming from, right? But they play it casually, and if you play the game casually, it's impossible to improve in the long run, in my opinion, personally, right? You need to have it as a priority, and you need to have a certain process, and that's the next point. It's actually not having a certain process towards climbing. Guys, before we keep going, make sure to check my coaching in the description. You can literally get a free session with me, which is a free consultation, where I explain to you in a one-on-one what I do in my coachings and how I want to help you specifically. And you can ask me whatever you want in that session. So make sure to check that out. Give it a shot. It's completely free. And you can always decide if you want a full session with me after that. Also join my Discord. And now let's keep going with the video. What does this mean? This means that you play a fixed number of games. This can vary a bit, obviously, depending on how you feel that day. It could be 2 games, it could be 3 games. For some people, it's maybe 4 games, right? But you should play a controlled amount of games and also listen to yourself. This basically means that if you don't feel like playing, or if the games are not going your way, if you feel like this is just not the day, over forcing games is just not helping you at all, right? And you need to find a way to make every single game a win, even if it's a loss. What does that mean? That basically means that you need to learn something every single game. If you lose the game but you get a nice learning, it's actually really easy to see it as a win. Because then you didn't really lose anything. Yeah, you lost LP, but you can just get that back, right? And the better you get, the more LP you will gain because you will improve over the long run, right? So what's happening is basically that even if you lose, if you analyze the game after that and you learn something out of it, it's a win for you, you know? And that's why losses don't feel as bad. Okay? So these are the mental or like the stage 4 things that I think are the things that like hold you back the most, 100%. At least from my personal experience, right? Obviously there are coaches with more sessions. I'm obviously like that's clear, but after slightly above 100 sessions, this is something that I realized is happening a lot, especially if people are taking their like first session and they didn't have a session before that ever with a different coach or with me. It doesn't really matter. People don't really have a process towards climbing, right? So this is a really really big thing. What I personally do is I basically play 2 blocks. Okay, so I play a block of 2, then analyze the games, and then I play another block of 2 that day or the next day after that, depending on how I feel, right? And this is so you don't feel bad about your games, right? And this is also a lot healthier than just spamming games. And also, as soon as you spam games, your concentration is going down and you will just lose a lot more. And I think that League of Legends just emphasizes or like enhances the behavior that you already have. Okay. This basically means that if you have bad experiences in life, right, and you use League as a getaway, what happens is that it just makes things worse in the long run, right? Because then you basically create a really unhealthy relationship towards the game. And this is something I would never do. I did this back then. I was extremely addicted. I will tell you that. I don't tell this many people, but I was extremely League addicted at once. And it basically drew down, like, it destroyed everything else I had. So let's say my social life, my behavior in school, for example, stuff like that. And after I started, like, I had a break for 1 year because it was not good for me, right? So I just took a break, and after that 1 year, when I came back, it was actually really easy for me to just play it controlled, not spam games. And since then, League has actually changed my life for the better. So that's when I realized, okay, you have to use League as a tool, and you have to use it properly and not in an unhealthy way, because then it actually just makes your life so much worse. Because League can do both. League can improve yourself, or League can destroy yourself, basically. This is really, really hard to understand for some people, I know. But I think this is really how you have to approach the game, okay? And this is actually when we get to the next point. People don't see League as a marathon. You have to see League as a marathon. You can't see it as a sprint. It takes a lot of time. I have issues with this as well still, but I'm getting better at it every day. Because it's actually really hard for me to accept that it takes years to reach Challenger, right? I want to do it now. I want to do it this season. I want to do it in 2 weeks if you want, all right? But I just have to accept that this is not going to happen, okay? And I just have to analyze my games. I have to take it slow. I have to see it as a marathon. And over time, I will reach it. I've no doubt that I will reach Challenger at some point, and it's my biggest goal. But I have to accept that it will take time, and that will also just make it easier for me to approach my learning process. Because in the end, and this is the next point, it is a learning process. You just learn and improve day by day and try to get better day by day. And that's why you have to use it as a priority, right? So League has to become a priority. And if you make it your priority, then you can actually improve at it, because it's way too hard of a game to just play it casually. Okay. So these are the most important things, or some of the most important things, that basically come to my mind when we talk about what I learned from those coaching sessions, right? Another thing for me personally is that every single player is unique, and I had to learn this the hard way. Okay. So in the beginning of my journey, I offered the coaching sessions completely for free because I just wanted to learn as a coach, which I'm still doing, by the way, obviously. But as soon as I felt like I deliver enough value to ask for money, I started doing it. And what I learned basically for me was just that every player is unique. You can't apply general concepts always on every single player that you coach. This might sound obvious, right? But you get into the trap really, really fast as a coach to have those general concepts in your head and to just use them on every single like student or like client that you have. And this is not a good approach to take at all. And I learned this after a couple of sessions. I realized, yeah, but those things don't apply to everyone. And then I was like, okay, I have to rethink this a little bit. Okay. So this is actually the next thing that is really important to me personally, that I try to find the unique mistakes that people are doing, right? And obviously, if you have 3 or 4 clients, it can be that those clients have the same issue. This can happen, but it is quite unlikely, and you should like test it, of course, before just assuming that this is the case, right? As I said, this might sound obvious, I know, but I think it's really, really important that you see the big picture and that you try to find the most important mistake for your client, and that you don't overwhelm them with too much information. Okay. And this is actually also the next point when we talk about finding the most important thing, right? Or like the most important problem that is holding them back. Because for me personally, what's also happened a lot was that I literally took a look at every single small thing that I saw. that my clients did wrong. Okay. And this is not a good approach at all, because you overwhelm them so hard with too many things they can improve on. And it's much better to just give them the most important thing they are doing wrong. Okay. And this is something I also learned through the MLA, right? I am still a part of the MLA, and I love the vibe that is transported there by everyone. It's just a lot of people that want to improve, right? But obviously, I also offer coachings myself, and I'm really happy with that. And also, the results have been great. So I'm really thankful for everyone that has come by in that time, right? And as I said, I just really enjoy how everything is going right now. But I learned a lot from the MLA. For me, it's like, and if you don't know, guys, the MLA is the Midland Academy. It's the coaching program from Coach Curtis. He's really big on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you guys know him. And I basically started in his academy. I think it was like 6 months ago, something along those lines. And what happened was that I used it also to learn myself as a coach, right? And I also asked him, and also Tim, Miserias Tim. You can also just check his YouTube. I think his YouTube is called Coach Mysterious, so I will link it down in the description. And I talked with him a lot as well. And what happened was that he also told me, yeah, you can do this specific thing especially differently. Don't explain too much. Just explain the most important thing that's holding people back, right? So what I personally do, and I really like doing it like that, I did it for the last like 10, 15 sessions basically, and it has worked insanely well. I basically gave people the most important learning objective, meaning the thing that is holding them back the most. And after doing that, they just focus on that for a couple of weeks, depending on how much time they need, right? And then when they figured it out, or when that has gotten better, and we just rewatch a new VOD from them, right? Because most people do get multiple sessions because it's simply cheaper. And then we just do it again. And what happens is that I find something else which is bigger now, right? And then I say, look, I found something else. Take a look at this, do this again. And over time, you just get better and better and better, right? And it can also happen that these problems occur again, simply because you get to a higher elo, and concepts that you maybe learned already are just not good enough anymore because the players you are playing against are getting better, right? So then I'm saying, yeah, look, the problem you had is just happening again because obviously people are approaching things differently now. And this is also the next point, and this is really important too. You have to adjust your coaching in regards to the rank the player has, in my opinion. Okay. So I am treating a high diamond client completely different compared to a, let's say, low emerald or high platinum client, because the problems are simply different, and the way how people are playing is completely different, right? And the things that are helping you are different most of the time. And this also depends on the champion that you play. If you have Katarina one tricks, for example, it's a really inflated champion. I one trick Katarina myself, and it's just how it is. So most people just don't know anything about fundamentals till Diamond 2 most of the time, or like till Diamond 1 even. Maybe some even masters if they are really crazy mechanically, because as Katarina, many people just climb mechanically and they just don't take a look at the game at all. They have no idea of the most basic fundamentals. I literally had this one client just a couple of days ago that was a Katarina one trick, and he literally in like Diamond 2, I'm not kidding, and he literally didn't know how to pull a freeze. I was mind blown. I didn't expect that at all. But in the end, I mean, we just talked about it, and he will eventually improve on it. But champions can actually elo inflate how you approach the game. Okay, and this is the same thing for me. I reached, I think, 250 LP with Qiyana, and I was a much worse player than I was when I was like 100 LP just a couple of weeks ago. I had less LP, but I'm a much better player right now. I take a look at completely different things, and I am climbing like more consistently, and I feel much better with it. Okay, and who would have thought? Now I actually just completely exploded my peak, and I'm at 350 LP right now. So this is something that I realized that is really holding people back, is that champs can actually elo inflate, and that people just skip learning fundamentals most of the time, and this is not something you should do. And now we come to a point that actually hurts me the most to say, but it is something I have to mention, and this will actually lead to the end of this video. And the thing that is really, really coming to my mind here, and this is something that I don't want to say, but I kind of have to say it. Qiyana specifically is a very, very, very hard champion. You know, you might have seen some shorts from ASAP or from Azap. I don't know how you completely pronounce it. I like him a lot actually. I think most of his takes are amazing. But he actually said that Qiyana is not as hard as people might think, which I completely disagree with because especially in lower elos, people are having hard issues. And I personally feel like he especially just dragged this down to like high elo players. But how many high elo Qiyanas are there? Maybe 5, right? And I'm one of them. So I wouldn't really say that you can apply this to the entire champion. Honestly, if you are good at a champion, it always seems easy. This is the same with every champion, no matter if it's Qiyana or if it's Velkots in his case, right? So yeah, I mean, I personally think, and this is the point, Qiyana is a very hard champion. And I personally think, and I don't want to do this, but I just have to recommend it. If you want to learn League of Legends properly, if you really want to become a really good player, what I personally would do these days, I would actually learn a different assassin that is much easier to play and that actually teaches you fundamentals. This means a champion that can clear the wave really well, a champion that is easier to execute, that has easier combos, right? And a champion that can simply do things that other champions can also do that are far simpler to play. And 2 champions come to my mind here, and they are like Echo and Naafiri, basically. These are the 2 best easy assassins to play, in my opinion. And what I would do, I would literally spam them. And then when I'm actually at a certain level, let's say gold, then you can actually start playing Qiyana properly because you have some understanding of some fundamentals, right? And you have some understanding of how the game works, and you have some understanding of matchups, and you know how every champion basically works, right? Because it's a problem that you are trying to learn Qiyana as a bronze player, for example. You are trying to learn what other champions do in the same breath, right? And you are still trying to get into fundamentals as well. And this is just something you cannot do, right? And the thing is, you can play Qiyana in bronze. Don't get me wrong. You can pick up Qiyana as your first champion. I'm not saying that's not possible. The thing is, you might need half a year till you are at a point where you can consistently play Qiyana, just the mechanics, at a somewhat decent level, okay? Half a year, I'm not even kidding. At least for a bronze or like iron player, maybe even silver. It really depends on the player, obviously, but this is just how I look at it. And what happens is that this time spawn that you have is much shorter with Echo or with Naafiri. With Echo or with Naafiri, you need like 1 month at max to learn the champion really well. And then you can focus on completely different things. You can focus on how do you hold the wave, or like how should the wave be situated, right? How should you roam here? Should you not roam here? What are your under fundamentals? You can actually focus on jungle tracking. You can focus on your warding and leaning. You can focus on so many different things. And you can do the same thing with Qiyana, but it takes like 10 times as long to do it compared to like other assassins, right? So I'm not actually discouraging people to play Qiyana early on. You can definitely do that. But at the same time, I really think that learning other champions is easier for your progress, right? And then picking up Qiyana later on, because I do think she's a really enjoyable champion to play. In my opinion, she's the most fun champion in the entire game. I love playing her. And yeah, these are my learnings, basically. There's nothing more I can say right now. I will 100% do a video like this again when I'm at 500 sessions, when I'm at 1000 sessions. I hope so. And yeah, as I said, I'm grateful for every single client that I get. Guys, make sure to check out my Metafy in the description down below, because you can actually get a free coaching session with me, meaning that I will actually explain what I do with my coachings. You can ask questions there if there's something you are unsure about. And yeah, it's basically a consultation where I basically just explain what I do in my coachings and how I want to help you specifically, right? And right there, you can also already get into some certain questions, right? And maybe clear out some things that you are worrying about, okay? So make sure to get that, and after it, you can always decide if you want to get a real coaching session with me or not. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. I hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.